Hi everyone, it's Kailei. Welcome to my channel. I always knew I was going to tell the story of my relationship with this person on my channel, but I'd never thought that it would end this way, and I didn't think I would be telling it so soon because of the way that it ended, but I felt like I needed to share. I felt like I need to put this part of my life in the past. I need to put it to a close. I need to sort of just get it all out because a lot of this is secret, and then I feel like I would be able to move on with my life from there. And so that's what I'm gonna do. This is the story of me and my ex-boyfriend who passed away around a week ago. As you all know, I'm engaged. I get married this summer. I've been with my fiance for over 3 years, and so this person is a very distant ex, but it still affects me just because this was someone that was important to me at some point in my life and has always sort of been around. Even after we broke up, we were friends and we spoke to each other. So it just feels weird to be here. And so we're going to get into this story from the very beginning. This is going to be a super long video, a super long story. It spans a couple of years, so there's a lot involved, and there's a lot that you need to know from the beginning in order for the end to sort of make more sense. So I'm going to tell the whole story from the beginning. There's going to be laughter, there's going to be trauma, there's going to be prison, there's going to be complete craziness. So get ready, and here we go. This person, we're going to call him Brett. That's not his real name. I met Brett when I was around 13 to 14 years old. This is all so long ago that the timeline, I don't remember exactly the timeline, but the age range is I was around 13, 14 years old. I had gotten off the school bus and walked home. We lived in a very small town, and when I say small town, I mean we had dirt roads leading to our houses. And so I got off the bus, I walked home, and I realized that I didn't have a house key to get me in. And of course, I was living with a single parent at the time, and my mom worked until 8 or 9 o'clock some nights. And so I called her on my phone and she said, I'll figure out what to do. She called me a couple minutes later and she said, hey, the neighbors are gonna let you go over to their house. You can hang out with them until I come home. So I walked to their house. It was probably half a mile walk, wasn't very far away. And I went inside, and this was a family of a lot of kids. They had six or seven. And I was pretty close with the girls, and my older brother was pretty close to the guys. I wasn't really close with the guys in the family, but I knew them, you know, we all were around. And so the guys were the only ones that were home. I don't know where anybody else was, but it was the guys and this other guy that they were friends with, Brett. I had never met Brett before. This was my first time meeting him, and Brett was older than me. He was 3 years older than me, and he was terrifying to me, okay? As a child, I was very prude. I was very closed off, and I was very good, and I followed all the rules, and I was like a very innocent child. And so when I met Brett, he was like heavy metal rocker guy that wore eyeliner and was everything that I was not, and was everything that I had never been exposed to before. And so I honestly was scared. And that's true especially because when I walked in and was sitting with them, they were throwing knives across the room to see if they could get them to stick into the wall. I don't know why that was a thing. I was so confused by that and honestly kind of scared. So after a couple of hours of us all talking and hanging out, I was pretty shy at that point. I didn't really say much to them, but I sat with them. My mom called me and said, hey, I'm home, you can come back home. So I started to walk home, and all of a sudden, Brett in his car is next to me. So I'm 13, he's 16. That makes more sense because he's 3 years older than me. And he had a car and a license. That was like, I did not have any friends that had a car or a license. I only had friends my own age. I don't know these older ruffians of the town, you know? So he pulls up next to me in his car and he says, hey, you want to ride home? Stranger danger. No, I do not want to get into your car. And so I said no. He said, it's fine. I know you live really close. It's not a big deal. We can hang out. We can talk. No, I do not want to talk to you. I do not want to hang out with you. I do not know you. And so of course I said no, of course not. And he was like, okay, I'm sure I'll see you around. Blah, blah, blah. It's not a problem. Have a nice day. And of course, after that day, all of the kids in the neighborhood started to hang out with Brett more. And that meant that my older brother was hanging out with Brett more. And when you're younger, at least for us, the boys and the girls were separated. And so I was outside of their friend group. I didn't really hang out with my older brother and his friends. I didn't really see them often. I was on the outside doing my own thing. And I was always the lame younger sibling. So they didn't really want to have much to do with me. But Brett always did. For some reason, they always would come over to my house. They would be hanging out. They all wanted to be away from me so they can play video games and talk about girls and whatever. And Brett would always find a way to like sneak out and go to the bathroom or something and try to talk to me. He always would hug me, always would say hello. He was always so nice. And all the other guys were like, ew, girls, ew, your friend's younger sister, gross. And he was always like so nice to me. And so me and him started to develop a friendship. All of a sudden, he was in my life so much more because my older brother and him started to perform music together. He was already in a band with some of the other kids in the neighborhood, and every so often my older brother would fill in. So then I learned, going to one of their concerts, that Brett was a singer. My fiance is a singer too. Like, I love singers. They're my favorite. So of course, I'm thinking this guy is such a dreamy guy. So out of my league, older than me, has a car, so cool, heavy metal rocker guy. So months go by after that, and he starts to see me more, and he starts to push to talk to me more. And at some point he says to me, I really like to write poetry, and I'm so artistic, and you have a beautiful voice. I would like to perform my slam poetry with you at an open mic night or something. How this got to me, young Kailei thought this was the greatest thing in the world. So of course, he says, I'll take your number. We can talk about it more, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I'm going to give it to him. Please, I'm throwing the number at him. So then we start to text, and we start to talk on the phone, and we start to really develop a friendship. From the time that I first met him to the time that we had really started a solid friendship, texting and calling, I was 14. So it had been around a year. So one night, as the relationship's going on, the town fair rolls around. This town, as I said, is in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to do. And so when a fair comes to town, the very small town fair, everyone went crazy for it. So I went with my friend. I only had a few friends. I wasn't extremely popular. I was actually pretty lame. But my older brother went with a huge group of friends because he was so popular, everybody liked him. So Brett was one of those friends that he was with. And so the first time that we ran into them at the fair, once the whole friend group was together, Brett saw me, he came over to me and he hugged me, and he said, it's cold, I want you to have my jacket. He had this Marilyn Manson hoodie that I guess everybody knew was his because no one in the town really had worn anything like that. And so he gave it to me, I put it on, I felt so special. I felt like he really liked me. So me and my friend are walking around the fair, and this older group of girls sees us. These girls are like super cool, everybody likes them, totally popular, whatever. Me and my friend, it was weird because my really close friend, she's still my best friend. I have matching tattoos with her and everything, but she was super popular, super preppy, you know, and in that whole world. And I was not. I was completely lame, but she always was my friend. So I'm super lame. No one really knows me. No one likes me. No one cares. That's just facts, okay? I do not make the rules. And I never cared. Honestly, maybe that's why I was never popular, because I never pushed for it, because I never cared. That's not the point. The point is, I was totally lame. This girl was totally cool. She knew the other cooler girls that were older than us. They come over, they start to talk to us. They see my jacket and they say, oh my God, is that Brett's jacket? Me and my friend are looking at each other like, how would they know that? But I said, yeah, it is. And these girls, you know, whip their hair back and they say, oh, you really think that he likes you? I mean, I don't know that he does, but he's been really nice to me, and a boy's never been nice to me. A boy's never liked me because I'm super lame. So I was like, I don't know, I guess so, yeah. And they were like, he would never go for you. There's no way, good luck. And laughed at me and laughed at us. And that should have been a red flag, like that they knew that was his jacket. They knew who he was. He had a reputation. I should have listened. Reputations are not always valid, but in this situation, I should have seen more of the signs. And that was one of the biggest ones, was like these girls that were more popular and that I knew were doing bad things, knew him and were friends with him. And, you know, other people that he knew were doing bad things, and I knew they were. Like, I should have paid attention to that, but I just really liked him. He was artsy and cool and different, blah, blah, blah. So from there, at the end of the night, I go to give him back his jacket, and he says, no, I want you to keep it. You're special to me, blah, blah. And I really believed him because I had no reason not to, and I was naive. So I really believed him. I really took what he said to heart. So from there, when I was 14, after that night at the fair specifically, he started to call me a lot more. We talked every single day, and he started to say things like, I'm really interested in you, I'm really invested in you, I really care about you. Some of these key words, And he said, I want to date you. My mind was blown. Of course I want to date you. You're like the coolest guy ever. I totally suck. Why would you like me? Okay, let's do this. So he wanted to date me the right way. So he wanted to ask my family their permission and blah, blah, blah. So one day we made a plan for him to come over. He was going to pick me up. We were going to drive to New Jersey. He had to have something worked on with his car. And he was like, it'll just be a fun drive, a good time for us to talk and get to know each other more. We already knew each other pretty well, but just like a good time to talk really in depth and spend some quality time together. So when I come to pick you up, I'm going to talk to your brother about wanting to date you because he was my brother's friend. Awkward. So then he came over and started to speak to my brother and was saying, you know, I like your sister, I care about your sister, and all my brother is seeing is red. Like, hold on a moment. You're my friend and you're talking romantically to my sister. That's not something friends do. What, you know, as teenagers, as young teenagers, is like, you don't do that. What's wrong with you? How dare you? So my brother's so mad. And also my brother knows some stuff about him that is bad. And I wasn't fully aware of that at the time, but my brother was trying to, you know, protect me and have my back. So he was like, of course not. And he started to get really angry because Brett was talking so calm that it was like kind of scary, trying to persuade him to change his mind. And so my brother was pissed, seeing red, like I said, so angry. Shoves Brett against the wall and starts screaming at him and is punching the wall. I'm freaking out. I'm grabbing my brother. I'm trying to pull him away. I'm saying, leave him alone. We've been talking for a while. This isn't something new. Like, we want to do this more seriously. Leave him alone. Angry. He's like, get out. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't approve of this. I don't agree with this. I don't think you should do this at all. But at the end of the day, my older brother couldn't control me. And so I said, I'm going to do what I want and I'm leaving. So I left with Brett. And we talked on the way to New Jersey, and basically the conversation became, I really want to date you. I want to date you properly, but we can't because your brother doesn't want us to date. So if we're going to continue dating, we have to date in secret and no one can know. And me at the time said, you're right. I completely agree. I can't imagine how my parents are going to feel about the situation because they know you and they probably won't like that either. So sounds good to me. So after that day, when I was 14, he was 17, we decided that we would date in secret. And we did. And we dated in secret from that time until I was 16. So we dated in secret for 2 years. That meant we were texting all the time. We were calling each other on the phone all the time, but I had him saved in my phone as a fake name. His name in my phone was Erica something. I always remember Erica. And then my parents started to ask me, like, who's Erica? You talk to this person a lot. And I always told them that she was just a friend from school. The stuff that we did, the stuff that we got away with, I just don't know. And I would sneak out of my house and he would come pick me up in his car and he would drive us back to his house. Sometimes he would drive us to like a vacant parking lot. We would just sit and talk and hang out. But we never saw each other during the day, basically. We would just text during the day. And part of our deal with us dating in secret was, you know, we have to do things to make it seem like we're not dating each other. So he would kind of see some other girls and talk to some other girls. I would kind of see some other guys, but I was so young and so not about that I didn't really invest my time or myself to anybody else. No one was suspicious of that somehow. You know, I was 14, 15, 16, and I didn't have any boyfriend, and my parents weren't concerned. They were like, good, we're happy. So throughout our relationship, things started to get dark. And I say that because I started to find out that Brett was doing bad things. He was doing illegal things. He was doing drugs. He was drinking alcohol, and he was doing other illegal things. When we first started dating each other seriously, I knew he drank alcohol and I knew he did some recreational drugs. And so when we first started dating seriously, we decided that he wouldn't do that around me because I didn't drink. I didn't do recreational drugs. I actually still haven't done any recreational drugs. I waited to drink until I was 21 and now I'm completely sober. I don't do anything. So it's always been me. It's always been my thing that I was completely clean and sober, and he knew that. So he didn't talk to me about it. I didn't see it. He never had it in the car with him when he picked me up. He never brought me with him to do these illegal things he was doing, these illegal trips, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't know the extent of it because he kept it from me on purpose, because he didn't want me to be exposed to that. But he would always say things like, you're better than this. You know you're better than this, right? and as the relationship got more serious, the conversation became, you know that you're better than me, right? You know that you deserve better than me, right? You know that you deserve someone that you can go on normal dates with during the day and you don't have to avoid talking to when they're drunk. And as the relationship progressed, it got worse and worse. This feeling of isolation for me, because it was secret, nobody really knew what was going on. And also because I couldn't relate to him and I didn't understand him because most of his life was a complete mystery from me. And he never fully told me everything. So I would hear rumors about him. I would hear that he was doing this or doing that or being with this girl. And when I would ask him about it, he would never have a full answer. He would never be completely honest with me. And I started to feel like he wasn't being completely honest with me, but I didn't know what to do. And so as the rumors kept going, my feelings for him grew and I didn't want it to end. And so I rationalized it in my mind as this relationship could never work out anyway because he's so much older than me. He's so much cooler than me. He has so much more going on in his life than me, and we live in different worlds. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm sober. So let's just enjoy it for what it is and see where it goes because it's just fun and nice to be with him and enjoy his company. I wish that I would have just let it go now, looking back on it, but I'm glad at the same time that I didn't because I needed to learn this lesson early in life. And that lesson was pay attention to the red flags because the red flags with him were everywhere. He would get on the phone with somebody and get out of the car with me when we were hanging out and I wouldn't be allowed to hear their conversation. Or he would be texting people and he would shield his phone from me. Or I would text him or call him and he wouldn't answer. I wouldn't hear from him for days. All of that stuff started to add up to he's doing something really bad. And like I said, I knew that he was doing illegal stuff. I knew that he was doing drugs, but I didn't know that he was doing these drugs. And I didn't know that he was going about it in this way. And I'm going to be very vague. I don't want to put him or his family on blast because it's not really my part of the story is my part of the story. His part of the story has nothing to do with me mostly. So I'm being very general purposefully because I don't want to out anybody else that was like associated with that. But the drugs he was doing were really bad. And I didn't know. So now we're here at the 2-year mark of our relationship, our secret relationship. I at the time had still barely done anything R-rated or anything sexual. I was still very prude. He and I were going about it very slowly, but a night came in the summer of, I don't even know what year, when I was 16 years old, that I had to go to the doctor with my mom the next morning, and I was really stressed and worried about it. And so he came to pick me up, and we shared a really wonderful night together, and we had sex. And it was the first time that I had ever had sex with someone, okay? This is a key part of the story. The following morning, I went to the doctor with my mom. It actually was funny because he dropped me off at like 6 a.m. And I walked into my house. I walked upstairs to my mom's room, and she was already awake. And I thought that I was caught. I thought that I was in so much trouble. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh my God, Kailei, you're awake so early for the doctor's appointment. That's so sweet of you. Thank you." Because this was a big deal doctor's appointment. My mom was having problems with her reproductive system and they thought that she had cancer. So this was going to be the doctor's appointment where they told us if she had cancer or not. And so Brett knew that this was a big deal to me. I think that's part of why everything went down that night the way that it did and why I felt that I was ready because I was like facing some crazy life stuff. And so, you know, sex happened. I come home. My mom's already awake. She has no clue that I just came from Brett's car and that I had spent the night with Brett. She had no clue. So then we went to the doctor. It was me, my mom, and my older brother. My mom at the time was single. She wasn't dating anybody, and she didn't really have a lot of emotional support in her life, and so she wanted us to be there with her. I was 16. My older brother was 17 or 18, and they told my mom she had ovarian cancer, and we were there, and we really didn't know what to do. It was really bad, like really bad. And it ended up good for my mom. She had a major surgery. It all was cleared. She's okay, living life super fine now. But in relation to my story with Brett, I came home and I called him bawling, you know, my mom has cancer, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he said, "I'm gonna come pick you up, be ready by this time. I really wanna see you, I really wanna spend my day with you. I wanna calm you down, I know you've got a lot going on." So I said to my mom, "Hey mom, I'm going to this friend's house that's a neighbor to us, that's a girl." And my mom said, "Okay, yep, sounds good." So my mom was just letting me go and didn't say anything. I just said, I want to be around my friends and have some sort of emotional support. And she was going through a lot, obviously. And so she said, sure. I feel bad taking advantage of her now. I mean, I lied to her quite a lot when I was with Brett. And I'm sorry for that now, Mom. But, did what I felt like I needed to do at the time. So I got ready. I had my hair and makeup done all cute, real nice, ready to see my man. We just had a night unlike any other in my life. So, I was really considering that and how that would change our relationship. Then I was considering my mom having cancer. How's that going to affect everything? It was a lot all at once, and so I was ready to go. He never showed up. And I kept calling him, texting him. Where are you? What happened? Are you okay? Nothing. Pure silence. And so I'm thinking, did I mess up? He was older than me. The thoughts were in my mind. Is he trying to take advantage of me? Is he trying to manipulate me? Does he know and see how vulnerable I am? Is that what he wanted this whole time? Now he got what he wanted, and so now I don't matter to him anymore. All of those thoughts were going through my mind, and then the truth came. And the truth was that Brett and another friend were going to do a drug deal. This was one of our rules that Brett and I had. I wasn't supposed to be around that. And so I don't know if last minute Brett changed his mind. I don't know if the other friend was like, we can't bring her. I don't know if their plan changed or like Brett wasn't, because from what the story was, Brett was driving the other friend. So I don't know if like Brett picked up the other friend and their plans changed, and so Brett was like, oh, we can't go get Kailei now. I don't know. I probably will never know the truth, but all I know is Brett didn't come get me, and then Brett went to do this drug deal, and it ended up being a setup. The person that they were selling the drugs to had been arrested, and the deal that they made with the police was, if you get these other people that are supplying you whatever, then you'll get off with an easier sentence, that sort of a deal. And so this person set up Brett and our other friend. And so Brett was gone. I dated him in secret, and no one knew we were together, and no one knew we were even friends, because we had to be mysterious. And so I found out that he was in prison, and I had to suffer in silence. I dated him for around 2 years. I lost my virginity to him, and then I never saw him again. And it was really tough, because all I wanted to do was to write him a letter, to hear his voice on the phone, some sort of an explanation, because I didn't know that Brett was dealing this substance with this friend. So I'm like, how bad is it? Is it worse than this? Is there more than this? How did I not know this? I mean, I knew some, but I didn't know that it was anywhere near being this bad. And I spent 2 years of my life, more than that being his friend, but 2 years of my life dating this person, and I had no idea that they were dealing this. That's bad. Really, really bad, you guys. So bad. And so I just, like I said, I suffered in silence. No one knew. It was really, really sad for me. It was really dramatic for me. This was my first boyfriend. This was my first R-rated stuff person. This was my first romantic partner. This was my first everything, and everything was wrong. And my mom had cancer, and all this other stuff was going on in my life. And the only person that I could truly depend on is now gone. Also, by the way, they were dealing this drug that you didn't know that they were dealing or doing. Cool. My whole life imploded basically before my eyes. And so after a couple of months went by of him being gone and hearing rumors and hearing more of the stories and everybody buzzing around about it, I decided that I needed help and I needed to talk to somebody about it. And so I decided to sit my mom down and tell her everything. And so the first thing I said to her was, hey Mom, I have important news. I really need your help. And so she's nervous. She sits down. We're both sitting down on the couch. I look at her and I say, I was dating Brett. And she just looks at me and she laughs at me. Like, no, you were not. You're lying. No, you were not. That's not true. Because she knew that he was arrested and went to prison. So she was like, no. Then I said, I also lost my virginity to Brett. And she laughed even hard, tears in her eyes, laughing so hard. Like, no, you did not. That's so funny. Good joke. Okay. And I didn't laugh. I was serious, so serious. I'm telling my mom I've been seeking out all this time. I've been dating Brett. Me and Brett did this. Me and Brett did that. Blah, 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 blah. And she just starts crying. She starts crying so hard because at first she thought it was a joke. Like, there's no way that could be true. And then when she realized it was true, it was like, whoa, this is really bad. This is actually really, really bad. how are you okay right now, Kailei? How are you handling this right now, Kailei? And I was like, Mom, I am not okay. I am so not okay. And she really helped me through it, but I still didn't talk to him when he was in prison. We didn't hear from him or the friend for years. He was in prison for years. Okay, years. Then I'm 18. It's been 2 years. I met this guy when I was 13, dated him for 2 years. Lost my virginity to him. He went to prison. Now we're here. I haven't heard from him in years. I haven't seen him since the night that I lost my virginity to him. Haven't talked to him since the day after when he was going to come pick me up, and I was going to be with them when they did this really bad drug deal. I'm so glad that they didn't bring me, but like, what were they thinking in the first place? But now we're here, and I'm 18, and I get a friend request on Facebook. And who is it, everyone? It's Brett. I didn't even know he was home from prison. I didn't hear anything about it. Nobody really talked about it. And so my heart dropped to the floor, up to the ground, below the floor, to the other side of the world. My heart sank so hard because at first I thought it was a joke. At first I thought it was a prank. At first I thought it was somebody trying to upset me or something. I called my best friend, the one that was with me at the fair, and I said, I don't know what to do, because she knew the whole story. But I called her and I was like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And she's like, accept his friend request. Hello, he probably wants to talk to you. So I accept the friend request and I get a message, very short. It says, hey, Kailei, I really want to talk to you. Here's my number. Please call me. That's it. That's it. So I call, of course. I need answers. I call and I'm so angry. I used to be a very angry person. I've let a lot of that go, but back then I was angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't upset. I wasn't mourning him. I wasn't missing him. I was pissed because he didn't tell me. I didn't know. So of course I call him and I'm screaming, how the hell could you have done this to me? Why didn't you tell me? Why were you doing this? This is so wrong. I can't believe you. What are you going to do now? Now you're home. Do you have a job? You're going to school. What's going to happen? What's in the future? Do you care about me? Are me and you going to be a thing again? Is that what you want? I don't know. Like, I've been devastated without you. I had no explanation. What the hell's wrong with you? And he told me everything I wanted to hear. He apologized. He said, I never wanted to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, it's too late for that. I'm really hurt. I'm done with you. Goodbye. And I didn't talk to him for another couple months. I hear from him again. He tries to talk to me again, and I said, no, I'm mad. How dare you? I still can't get over this. My whole teenage years of life, like almost a decade of my life at this point, has been dedicated to this guy, or this guy has been floating around it in some way. And now all of a sudden you think you could just come back into my life like nothing happened and everything's fine? No, that's not how it's been going, okay? It's been really bad, and I'm trying to put my life back together. And of course he's asked me, like, are you dating anybody? Are you single? Why do you care? Why do you care? I'm not gonna date you. So of course I'm still angry. And then the anger subsides and then I'm just sad and I just miss him. And so we became friends again. Between me being 19, 20, 21, we were casual friends. Every few months he would message me and say, hey, how are you? I hope you're well. I wanna see you, blah, blah, blah. I would tell him how things were going. I would say, I wanna see you too. You know, I really miss you. You've been so consistent in my life, blah, blah, blah. But I never saw him. I never got more serious than that. And he was always still mysterious with me. He still never fully gave me the whole story. And so I reached a point where I was just done. Then I started to date my fiance, Andrew. He knows this whole story. This is no surprise to him. But our relationship grows strong. I love my fiance, Andrew, more than anyone in this world. So then last year, I hear that Brett went into a coma. After all these years of fighting, talking, being friends, being enemies, going back to being friends, all the cryptic texts, all the weird calls, I'm never gonna get my answers now. And he could lose his life. Why? Because he was doing drugs. He went into a drug-induced coma. And I kept up with the updates on him. Days went by, days went by, days went by. This dude was in a coma for 10 days, okay? And as the time went on, his family saying, you know, his kidneys are failing, that he's having major complications. The doctors are thinking about pulling the plug. And for me on the outside, as the person that was his friend for years and dated him and had this connection to him, I thought I'm never going to get my closure unless I seek it out myself. And so I sat with Andrew and I cried to him about it because it's still so sad. Whether this guy is currently in my life or not, it's still just sad. And I said, I don't know what to do. And Andrew said, why don't you say everything you need to say? Write it all out, you know? Get it all off your chest. And if he sees it, good. If he doesn't, you know, at least you let it go. And so that's what I did. I sent him a novel in Facebook messages, going over all the years, asking all the questions I never got to the answers to, letting all my feelings out, and sent it. After 10 days of being in a coma, he woke up. He had some health complications, obviously, but overall, he was okay. His brain was okay. He was himself. He woke up being Brett. And I mean, his family was so shocked. We were so shocked. All the friends were so shocked. Everybody was so grateful that he was alive. And all I could think was, I was writing this message to him as if he wasn't going to wake up and he wasn't going to see it. Now he's going to see it, and I'm panicking because that's just what I do. I just panic. And months go by. His coma was October of last year. I didn't hear from him until February of this year. And in February of this year, he messaged me again, hey, I really want to talk to you. Can you call me? The pattern repeats itself with this guy. And so first things first, I call Andrew and I say, he wants to talk to me. What do I do? Should I talk to him? Is that okay with you? What do you want me to do? And Andrew said, of course you need to talk to him. He's probably going to give you closure. He's probably going to answer all your questions. He's probably going to answer every bullet point on your message and tell you everything. You're finally going to get what you've always wanted in this situation, which is just transparency. So I called him and we spoke on the phone for 6 hours, and he did. He answered every single question. Before he was in a coma, he was very cryptic and mysterious and was never fully honest with you. And when he woke up, at least in my opinion, he was so transparent, told me everything. Even the details that made him look bad, even the details that would hurt my feelings, even the details that put him in a pretty bad light, he still told me everything. And I felt so good about it. And then he said, I really want to see you in person, because I still, at this point, you guys, still haven't seen him in person since the night that I lost my virginity to him when I was 16. Now I'm 23 and I still haven't seen this guy. It's like ridiculous. And so he told me he wanted to see me in person. He even spoke on the phone to Andrew and was like, Andrew, you're doing so good with Kailei. I've been keeping up with you guys on social media. I'm so glad she's happy. But it was like a weird, like, romantic thing that became a friendship. So we were pretty good friends. Now, like, our friendship was even stronger. It was like cool that he was being so nice and friendly, and Andrew was so nice to him too. They actually like hit it off. It's so weird. The whole situation's weird, you guys. But him and Andrew spoke on the phone, and the first thing Andrew said was, hey, how are you feeling? Are you okay? What an angel. Andrew is an angel. He's literally an angel on earth. After this whole situation and his reaction. And our friendship continued. We spoke pretty often. We were texting again pretty often. We talked on the phone a couple of times. We made some plans to see each other, and the plans always fell through. And then our friendship dwindled a little bit in the more recent months to today. The last time I heard from him was in May. I messaged him again in October, and he didn't answer me. And then in November, around a week ago, he passed away from a drug overdose. And unfortunately, for me and for him and for his family and friends, that's how the story ends. Part of why I really wanted to tell this story is because I never did drugs, ever. I didn't drink alcohol until I was 21. And then I had fun and partied it up for maybe 3 months, and then I stopped completely. And somehow drugs still entered my life in a negative way and really affected me and really hurt me. And so I wanted to share this sort of outsider perspective, but I also wanted to say, for him, I know he felt a lot of guilt and a lot of resentment towards himself. He couldn't get over those feelings, and that's what kept him from healing. And so for everyone watching, I don't want you to be ashamed of your choices. I don't want you to feel guilty for your choices. I just want you to know that every day you can make better choices. And in the description of this video, I'm going to post a lot of links to resources for people like you, because this whole war on drugs somehow ends up being, well, these drug addicts are terrible people and low lives and whatever, and you're not. You're normal people. And I want you all to know that there are resources out there for you that will help you. And I hope to see you all soon.